You're welcome to Midday Live on TV3. I am Wendy Lai. Good afternoon. This afternoon we'll bring you live reports from our reporters across the country. And more on our headlines this afternoon. South Municipal Hospital is heavily congested as the doctors and pharmacists strike enters day 3. And some other news, our compost plant begins a monthly exportation of plastic waste materials to improve sanitation and identify sustainable market for recovered materials in the country. On the international news this afternoon, South Korea raises alert level to vital threat amid indications the North is preparing for a missile test. So to stay with me for the details of these stories and many more lined up for this afternoon. As our the stories, and the Ghana Water Company insists there are no illegal water operators in the Adentan municipality.
This hydrant, close to the Trazaco company, was built and run by the Ghana Water Company. There is a manager, cashier and other staff responsible for the control of the valves, which have special keys to prevent intruders. But this appeared to be a cover-up for a number of illegal water distributors in the area who are taking advantage of the acute water situation in and around the Adenta municipality to enrich themselves. While the Communications Directorate of the Ghana Water Company repeatedly refused to officially speak to us on the issue, investigations suggested some officials of the company condoned the practice.
The job we are doing is what we used to feed our family. But you people are chasing us here and there. We don't know what people want to achieve from us.
How could an illegal water distributor operate from the same compound with the Ghana Water Company without their knowledge? We were told there is an agreement between the illegal operators and some officials of the company.
If something, you can go to Legon and talk to them.
I was there yesterday.
Yes, and then what did they tell you?
They told me, you.
It wasn't true. The chairman is there.
Tanker operators assembled here on Tuesday, a day reserved for the authorized hydrant. It's however free for all on Wednesdays and other days as designated among the gangs.
Now to one of our headline stories, because South Municipal Hospital is heavily congested. Patients are compelled to sit in the sun while doctors complain of inadequate consulting rooms.
The South Municipal Hospital, put up in 1940, currently runs 24-hour services, offering maternity care, ear and nose, psychiatric and eye care. A visit to the hospital on Tuesday, April 9, revealed patients at the outpatients department seated outside in the sun. Each of the 4 consulting rooms has the semblance of a common room, depriving patients of privacy. Patients spoke undertone to prevent others from eavesdropping.
Because they come as Samoya now or TB, I'm present. Mammy, to me, can't me pancasa and share doctor.
I wish I had privacy with the doctor to enable me air out my problems.
The story was no different for this man.
Yeah, they are delivering, but the facilities at which they used to deliver or to do their duty is not adequate. And it affects us. Sometimes we are overcrowded here.
The hospital currently has no ambulance for emergency referral, resulting to the reliance on commercial vehicles. Compounding the problems are garage operators who have encroached on the hospital's land.
You're still watching Midday Live News. Return shortly. Don't go away. Universities face a possibility of writing their examinations next year rather than in May 2013 if the 21-day ultimatum issued by the university management expires. After the ultimatum, the academic calendar would have to be readjusted if the strike action by lecturers persists. Here's a report by Daniel Opo.
The strike action by the university lecturers entered its second week. Government is yet to consider other alternatives to settle the arrears of the striking lecturers who have declined the 3-tranche payments proposed by government. On Tuesday, April 9, some students feared prolonged strike action could affect the academic calendar.
What you are praying for is that they should come before the 21-day ultimatum comes next week. Else the timetable will have to be rescheduled and it will affect a lot of activities, especially people who have planned of going to embark on certain activities during the vacation. So when the timetable is affected, it brings to a halt every plan of every individual on campus.
This is my fear and the fear of most of the students, because some of us are left with some few months to finish school. So if it is prolonged or it is extended, as it happened last 2 years, where it was extended for almost 3 weeks, it affected some of us because you have to write the exams the following year.
Yesterday we didn't have lectures, so we're just having group meetings and trying to catch up with class.
They have therefore urged government to immediately resolve the ongoing impasse.
When you go for lectures, no one is there. You'll be sleeping out. Individual studies is not that easy because the zeal, the willing is not even there. You don't know what to do. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I know and I hope by the close of this week they will come back.
This Sunday we write our IE that's coming on, but we don't really know if it's going to come, because some lectures, if they are part of UTAR, definitely they are going to cancel their IEs.
Within the past few weeks, the Labour Front has been turbulent and the TUC has begun consultations to address the numerous agitations.
In other news this afternoon, we're going to the Supreme Court, where the motion by the EC to the Supreme Court asking for some variation regarding rules for the conduct of the trial that has to do with the election petition case. And we do have our court reporter on the phone line, Thomas Adotai Papo. Good afternoon, Thomas.
Good afternoon.
What's the latest from the Supreme Court?
Thank you very much. The latest from the Supreme Court is that if you recall, in the last hearing date on the 2nd of April, the court set some rules for the conduct of the trial. And so we are expecting that indeed, if any hearing would be convened, it will be on the 16th of April, and that is the date that the court gave. However, the Electoral Commission brought a motion to court, and for that matter, it needed to have been heard before the substantive case on the 16th of April is heard. What the EC is saying is that they want some variations regarding the laws or the rules that were given in court last time. They think that the petitioners brought the case to court, and so they have to adduce all their evidence before they respond to any of such issues, and they are asking for variations in the way the court will conduct the trial, and they think that that should be done before they respond to certain things. Now, the petitioners, represented by the lawyer Philip Addison, was opposed to this motion. He is of the opinion that the rules have been set by the court and all parties must abide by it. Now, he thinks that the court has declared that evidence should be given by affidavit, and that was what the court said last time. They think that I mean, if you want to bring evidence to court, you should write it formally. But then, if there are certain witnesses that should come orally, then they will allow and ask for cross-examination. But this afternoon, the fast track at the Supreme Court, I must say, judges sitting on the case are on recess. As we speak now, all the parties have, given their say, and they are on recess at the moment, and when they come back, they will give a ruling as to whether or not they will uphold the argument brought by the Electoral Commission asking for certain changes in the way the court would proceed with the trial.
All right, well, thank you very much, Thomas Adote Papo, and he was updating us on the EC asking the Supreme Court for some variations regarding the rules for the conduct of the very trial, and he gave us that report from the Supreme Court. Well, we'll be giving us more during our subsequent bulletins, especially during our major news bulletin at 7. You're still watching Midday Live. Let me quickly run you through our headline stories again. South Municipal Hospital is heavily congested. You just saw that story, and soon pretty soon we'll be getting to our reporters across the country to give us an update on the strike situation and what really is happening at the various hospitals, public hospitals, and also some private hospitals as the doctors and pharmacists strike enters day 3. And then also the Accra compost plant begins a monthly exportation of plastic waste materials to improve sanitation and identify sustainable market for recovered materials in the country. On international news, South Korea raises alert level to vital threats amid indications in the north as the north prepares for missile test. Well, you're still watching Midday Live, trying to get some more on Midday Live. And the Accra compost plant begins a monthly exportation of plastic waste materials to improve sanitation and identify sustainable market for recovered materials in the country.
With plastic waste as a result of human activities, as part of efforts to improve sanitation in the country, Zoomlion and Accra compost plant collect waste materials. These waste materials go through various processes in order to separate organic waste from the inorganic ones. The organic materials are then processed into fertilizer for use by farmers in the country, whilst the inorganic materials, such as empty plastic bottles, are packed in bales for export to Malaysia and China to generate revenue. Michael Paddy Tower is the sales and marketing manager of Accra Compost and Recycling Plant.
The essence of all this exercise is to educate ourselves that look, the very material that is causing so much harm to us, right, that we don't value, that is causing so much to our water bodies, our drains, yes, it's used as elsewhere. It's a resource that is used elsewhere, and this we want to encourage all stakeholders to support us to help achieve this big objective.
Some other news: the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit of the Police Service is preparing charges against 7 leaders of the Maranatha Adventist Prayer Camp Asmin Tukwa in the Ahafan North District of the Volatile Region. Well, this follows the arrest of 4 more leaders who were out of the camp during the Saturday raid by the police.
Those to face charges are 36-year-old John Agbo, aka Paul Christ, Veronica Agbo, alias Ellen Agbo Christ, 30, and Mary Akua Hiachi, aka Deborah Christ, 42. The rest are 36-year-old Alphonse Bluvi, aka Abraham Christ, Reynold Kubode, alias John the Revelator, 24, Innocent Anamu, aka Isaac Christ, 27, and Samson Toto, alias Aaron Christ, 36. Their arrest followed a raid at the Maranatha Adventist Prayer Camp at Mentukwa, near Pokukrum, in the Volatile Region. The police said the congregation lived in isolation for 3.5 years under dehumanizing conditions, following an alleged revelation about the end of the world. With the exception of their clothing, everything else must be locally and self-produced. Again, following their teachings, members of the camp are involved in intermarriages. 27-year-old Innocent Anamu, aka Isaac Christ, was married to a 13-year-old victim with whom he had an 11-month-old baby. some leaders of the Maranatha Adventist camp were reported to have traveled out of the camp before the Saturday operation. 18 persons, including 11 children, were rescued on the first day. On Sunday, 4 of the leaders came to the police headquarters when they heard about the raid at the camp. The 4, together with 3 others who were rescued on Saturday, are now being charged for human rights abuses after investigations have found them culpable.
Well, like I did say early on, the doctor strike has entered day 3, and that alone, that hasn't got to do with doctors alone. Pharmacists are also a part of it, and I did tell you we'll be speaking to some of our reporters across the country. We do have our reporter Odelia Ofori in the Volatile Region. She's been going around to assess the situation, so we do have her live. Are you there, Odelia?
Yeah, hello, Wendy.
Now, where exactly are you in the Volatile Region, and
hello,
what is the situation there? What is the situation there like, Odelia?
We're currently in Ho. We're currently in Ho, and specifically at the Foresight Medical Center. We also visited the Ho General Hospital, and then we visited the Municipal Hospital. The 2 government hospitals didn't really have much of activity, and we're expecting that we should have seen huge numbers in the private hospitals. And we're currently at the Foresight Medical Center, which is a private hospital, and what we get is that this hospital gets the numbers anyway, whether there are strikes or not, and also they haven't started seeing the effect of the strikes yet. I currently have with me Gertrude, who is the administrator for the hospital. Gertrude, have you started seeing the numbers, flocking in yet?
Not yet. Currently we're having very low numbers as compared to what we usually would have. I think the strike action is affecting us negatively, in that everyone is thinking that we also are not, we also are on strike, sorry.
So by tomorrow, if you start seeing huge numbers, what will be the preparation of Foresight to meet the numbers?
Foresight is very ready to see any number, I think. We are running 24 hours here, and we are ready to see any of the number of clients that will come here. Our doctors are available, and then we have nurses. Everything is ready to see our numbers should they increase.
All right. I've been talking to some of the patients, and the indications I'm getting are that they would usually have gone to public hospitals for today, but some of them have heard about the strikes and would not want to go to some of these hospitals in the first place because they believe they will not be served. And one of such people is Rosamond. Rosamond, how long have you been here today?
Actually, today I've been here since morning time around 8 a.m. And when I came here, I've seen that everything that has been happening in the government hospitals doesn't exist here, and everything went accordingly, because at the government hospitals you go and you come back in the evening around 5 a.m. But this place, I'm leaving home around 12, and I think it's far better than.
All right. Did you use your NHIS to purchase drugs from this place?
Yes, actually, yes. They are using NHIS, and everything if you don't have the NHIS, you pay. They did everything as the government hospitals do. They do everything equally here, and I think this place is far better than many of the private hospitals in Ho here, and I think it's good.
But why didn't you go to the public hospital this morning to try your luck? You may never know.
No, because of the strike. I think if I go there, I'll just go and waste my time there, and there is no need for me to go there.
Well, that's as you have it. That's generally the situation. When we came here the first time, the numbers were really huge. But as you can tell, the numbers have dwindled so far, and the hospital indicates that they are really ready for any large numbers as they come in day 3 of the strikes.
Odilia, before I allow you move to the next patient to even talk to, now when you went to the government hospitals, was the number that low as compared to what they record before the strike? And also, how are they handling emergency cases at the government hospitals?
Well, as I indicated from the beginning, the government hospitals are attending to emergency cases. They are not, taking new cases on. And so you can tell that at the OPD, the numbers are not as large as you have them in the private hospitals currently.
And the dispensaries, how are they being run?
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that?
I did ask that. How are the dispensaries being run in the government hospitals?
How are the dispensaries being run in the government hospitals?
Yes, that was what I asked, Odilia.
Everything in there is going on normally. It's rather at the OPDs that you find that numbers are not really large.
Okay. So you can continue with the questioning of the patients over there, Odilia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, that was our reporter Odilia Ofori from the Volatile Region. She is in Ho specifically, and she was giving us an update from the Volatile Region, looking at the hospitals, specifically the private and government hospitals entering. The doctors by now are already on strike. Pharmacists are also on strike, and this has entered day 3. We're trying to reach some of our reporters also from other parts of the country, specifically the Ashanti region. We'll bring you more on that very update and that very story that has to do with the doctors and pharmacists strike. Next is What Do You Think? But that's away from the hospitals. On What Do You Think today, we're finding out from you if the daytime load shedding has improved in your area.
I have seen improvement, and I want it to be continuous so that we can enjoy the life.
It has not improved at all. In fact, even I wore my clothes. I just came to school wearing like that.
Article where I live, the light off during the day, I think it has improved.
In my area, Apapa, for quite some time now, we have had regular supply of electricity. It's only once in a while that the lights go up. Whatever happens, I think we have to bear with it until things improve for us.
Nima, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, still we don't have light. I'm very, very worried about it because it affects my studies.
Now we go back to our follow-up on the various hospitals across the country, and we do have our Ashanti regional correspondent William Evantinkum on the phone line. He's also been around some hospitals in that very region. Hello, Evans.
Hello, Wendy.
Now, how many hospitals have you visited so far?
Well, Wendy, so far I've visited some 2 hospitals, one private and then another missionary hospital. But at the moment, I am at the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital again to look at or ascertain development here, and then after that I give you development that I actually uncovered at the various hospitals that I visited. Wendy, let me start with Konfanoti. As I mentioned earlier, it is still the same. Inpatients and emergency cases are receiving attention by the doctors at the moment. In fact, the 2 main OPDs are relatively deserted. You only see few people, and my brief checks have actually indicated that most of them are family members whose relatives are on admission, though I've spoken to 2 or 3 people who are new patients. They came here only to be told that there is no doctors to look after them. But go back to the private hospitals that I visited earlier. It looks like the plight of the average patients continue to deepen because a chunk of these private health providers are not accepting the NHIS, only few hospitals working now. And I can say that here in Kumasi, for instance, as I'm speaking to you, missionary hospitals like the SDA have become the last resort now because they are accepting NHIS, but few. So the pressure at the SDA hospital is quite huge. I mean, they are escalating figures of outpatient at the outpatient department of the hospitals. So that is the case here. But for those average patients, like I mentioned earlier, if you don't have the means to seek for medical attention at the private hospital, then you are the receiving end.
But of course, those who have their NHIS cards have the right to go to the various private hospitals that do take or receive these NHIS cards, and are they aware they could go there?
Yes, those who are, like I mentioned earlier, those who are with the NHIS card, only the mission hospitals are accepting that, but the other private hospitals, they are not accepting the NHIS
Any
card.
specific reason why?
Hello?
Any specific reason why?
They actually didn't give me any specific. You know, let me tell you that since the issue of NHIS actually cropped up, I mean, some months back, it has remained the same. There hasn't been any change. You remember when I was doing a report, or I was running a report during that time, I told you that most of the private hospitals are not accepting NHIS cards, and it's been, I mean, there hasn't been any new development since that time. So the trend actually continues. But for the mission hospitals, the situation there, I can say, is positive.
Now,
NHIS card is concerned.
Okay, Evans, we spoke to Odelia not too long ago, and she did speak to a patient, and she found out from her if she had tried visiting or going to a government hospital, and she declined and said that she wouldn't want to waste her time going there because she knows she wouldn't be attended to. If you have interacted with some of the patients at the private hospital you went to, are they saying same? Have some of them even tried going to the government hospitals around?
Wonderful. Most of them that I spoke to, they went to the private hospital, they went to the government hospitals, and they were denied medical attention. So they had to come and seek some medical attention from the private hospital. In fact, some of the private hospitals, like I mentioned earlier, they went there and they were denied. So they had to come to, for instance, the SDA hospital here at Kwada. So you go there, the pressure there is obvious. Some went to government hospitals, others went to some private hospitals, but they were denied medical attention. So they had to come to the SDA hospital, where currently they are being catered for. But the pressure there is absolutely overwhelming.
And before I let you go, I did also find out from Odelia how the dispensaries in the Volatile Region, or some of the public hospitals she did visit, were being run. What is the situation in the Ashanti region like, specifically even looking at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital where you are, because the pharmacists are also on strike?
Yeah, it's quite obvious. If you look at the drugstores around, you could see a chunk of the patients actually buying drugs from these drugstores. I mean, the question is, who actually prescribed these drugs for them? That is the big question there. But they are there. Not even only the drugstores or the private drugstores. If you go to some of the herbal centers, you also see them as well, trying to see if they can get a cure for their ailments and stuff like that. So that is the situation. The situation at the Volatile region is not different from here in the Ashanti region.
All right, well, thank you very much. Indeed, William Evans Nkum, he gave us an update on the strike action by doctors and pharmacists, and he gave us a picture and the situation on the ground in the Ashanti region.
All right, so many thanks for joining us on the business segment of Midday Live. My name is Kweku Teme. Well, this afternoon we're looking at some interesting local details before we come your way with some figures. Now, in our very first story this afternoon, some call it Sakawa in the Nigerian circles, or know it as 419. Now, coming down to the details, reports from the Federal Bureau of Investigation suggest Ghana is gradually becoming a hotspot for cyber cyber fraud and internet threats. Now, this, according to business owners, is a negative impact and has a negative toll on our economy. It has brought stakeholders together at a business time roundtable discussions just to discuss ICT threats.
The program was to create a platform for deliberations on the challenges confronting the ICT sector, while participants get the opportunity to share best practices and experiences. The roundtable discussion covered thematic areas, including cyber fraud and transaction securities, maximizing social network platforms, establishing market leadership with ICT, as well as optimizing mobile technology strategies.
The European countries are well versed in ICT. They have learned, how to go about it, the problems and all that. But we have to learn from what their experiences. The security aspect of ICT is very important. You can't just let yourself loose.
Cyber threats and attacks on major Western and European countries has ignited debates on electronic crime. Ghana has been identified by the FBI as the 10th country in West Africa where internet fraud is dominant. Participants insisted it should be a wake-up call for business leaders.
So there are credible information evidence as to people coming from the other part of West Africa coming into the country, ECOWAS protocol and other things are in place, who are engaged in all sort of activities. But the problem that we have here as a nation is our laws are not adequate.
We need to bring the awareness of the various products to the public. And so we have decided to associate with this because we felt that this was one forum where we could make banking products which are based on ICT platforms more available to the general public, and also have the general public have a general discuss on the security related to it, and as such there are fears of the fact that this is something too dangerous for them to actually engage in. We want them to understand that the benefits of this far outweigh whatever risks once it's applied properly.
Your dedicated to security about.
All right, let's do other business stories now. You have enough food in the country and then other people are definitely happy. But if there's no food, obviously people get frustrated. Let's talk about food security now, as the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has reiterated its commitment to support innovative food security and sustainable agricultural programs in the 3 northern regions. Meanwhile, the ministry has signed an agreement with 6 project implementation partners here in Accra.
Recent rainstorms affected farms in parts of the northern region, posing threats of food shortage in the region. Various measures have therefore been instituted to address this challenge. The Food Security and Environmental Facility Project is expected to assist Ghana's efforts at achieving food security through environmentally sound agricultural practices in the 3 northern regions. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding forms the 3rd phase of an 8-year project being undertaken by the Government of Ghana and the Canadian International Development Agency, CIDA. The total cost of the 8-year project is estimated at $14.3 million Canadian dollars. The cost of the 3rd batch is 3,980 Ghana cedis. Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Akwesi Oponfosu, believes the project would address peculiar challenges facing the 3 northern regions.
The facility will support innovative sub-projects in the following broad components: food security, agricultural productivity and income generation, and 2, agricultural sustainability and natural resource management. From this, they are to introduce intensive smallholder pig farming for better income in the Laura and Nandom districts.
Director of CIDA, Daniel Arsenault, pledged the Canadian government support in addressing food security in Ghana.
It's important that our different decentralized entities at the government level, be it at the district level or at the region level, are also very actively involved in supporting the monitoring of such initiatives. And I think this is really decentralization at work.
Organizations that signed the MOU include CSIR, Water Research Institutes, CSIR Animal Research Institutes, Endana Ghana Limited, Basic Needs Limited, and Zoomlion Ghana Limited. The FSEF project is expected to end in May 2016.
Now to the textiles industry, where the Ghana Federation of Labour says it considers the current industrial climate in the country as distasteful and a serious threat to the exercise of the rights of workers guaranteed under the law. Now, in a statement signed by the Secretary General Abraham Kumsin, the Federation says it recognizes the effects of the Labour Act 651, which provides for the protection of workers' rights and job security, and sets down procedures for settlement of disputes arising between employers and employees. Well, the Federation observes that some infractions of the law have occurred over the period involving government and National Labour Commission and the labour unions, resulting in the suspensions and mistrust amongst the parties, thereby causing a myriad of strike actions in the country. Well, the Ghana Federation of Labour says it wants, or it's concerned about the fragmentations and the violations of the labour laws, which, if not addressed, could heighten the vulnerability of the mass workers in the country. The statement goes on to say that it urged the parties involved in the dispute, especially essential services, to operate and consider the plights of the sick and to resume work while the mechanism to dispute resolution in apply to arrive at the acceptable terms of union mandate. So that'll be it for business this afternoon. My name is Kweku Temen. It's always a pleasure joining you and bringing you all the updates of business stories. At 4:30, we'll be back here and we'll talk about the figures where we're talking about the Ghana Cedi's performance. We'll also talk about the commodity market. So do make a date with us as we bring you more. We'll go back and take more on Midday Live.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome. This is the sports segment here on Midday Live. My name is Joel Champon. This afternoon we're starting with a story on Ghana midfielder Michael Essien. And Michael Essien is facing another spell on the sidelines after limping off Real Madrid's 3-2 defeat at Galatasaray. In Ghana, the international bout between Ghana's fresh king Joseph Agbeko, yet another bout is being staged by Baby Jet Promotions, and they join me in the studio this afternoon. Samoni Mado, the CEO of the promotions, and also the boxer who is going to be in the helm of affairs, the Game Boy Emmanuel Tego, join me this afternoon. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Sammy, early on the Inside Sports Show, you were telling us about how the bout is going to turn out. My issue has to do with security. What measures have you really put in place to ensure that those coming to watch the bout will be safe?
Yes, we've done it before. We have the track record and we know what we are supposed to do. So we are talking to the security apparatus to get all security arrangements well done for us, so that all the people who will be invited will feel more safe. And then they will come to enjoy the game, enjoy boxing, and everybody will go home safely.
Okay, and his opponent is from the Philippines.
Yes.
How were you able to, get him down here too?
Yeah, when in life, whatever you decide to do, you have to go for the best, and we went for the best. That is Game Boy himself, and we decided that we should prepare him straight for the world title. So before you get him to the world title, you need to fight people who have the ratings, and Pontilas has enough ratings and enough points. So if Game Boy is able to beat him, his ratings and his points will rise up, and then he will get closer to the world title. So that's why we got it, and we have our matchmakers. We have Ales Ntiamwa, who is also our technical consultant. They all played a part, and we were able to get the match prepared, and so everything is on course.
Obviously, you will do the talking, but he will be in helm of affairs. He will be on the canvas that evening. Game Boy, how ready are you for this important bout? Do you think you can match this young man punch for punch?
Yeah, because we shall fight with my ready, me preparation, maybe I okay. Until me won't say like me what problem. Me won't say a problem on my side, and I'm again say like baby I okay. And I will share this time around preparation. Me idea nipa be cause guy no over no. My share no say I mean san kano. Intimate na me da asamwaja say ne sami see you I say any bar for the warrior me da omu na say like skebia guy no share be omu man when I over accept to say when me ba be kun and me person me can share me fans no so say amum brand them because omunim the way I say they me ya no and onum say ohini koye bibia e chese brand them na be hwe the way I want to assign best start because me boxing Mugana Hene. Okay. And I made a call word.
So that was why he was actually literally in the palanquin when he was going to face the
yeah. So what we need to well you know because only one get palanquin about Ghana boxing me manche. She only play small na me war blanche and wo.
Okay, so self-appointed.
Yeah. Blanche ke president Batano. A vote 4 years there. She mancha vote to Diagbo. Roni ya nimboku ele no ni safe mo ma fe ni ma yi ameda.
No ba gbegbo mo.
Ni me expect ake like push na samwa janke ba for janke. I mean see push na me ke nyinse ke support na me ke nyinse. Nkwe na faithful. Bro no na me ta oni jiwe title makoni nke ba. Me na me kwa me ninke ya. Boko okwe na me mulu ya ike ni bi ene me ke nko ke fi nkpla. Because no need expect on in the shakuno. Me expect where title or me care John Mama care fan fairy expect me care where title lemba castle no fake lalo de pamibe.
Okay, so what I mean the Game Boy is trying to say is that he's going to ensure that he lifts the title come the said night. So I mean, what is the date and what are the fees also?
Yes, the date is Friday 26 April. At the Lebanon House, the fees, we have popular stand 10 cities and VIP 30 cities. And we have a place for VVIPs. The Filipino is arriving on the 22nd. And then he will also have some gym workouts where we'll be inviting the media to come and cover the gym workout to see how well he's also prepared. But definitely Game Boy is going to drop him down and we're going to aim high and go for the title that we want.
Okay, no, don't you have any last words before we go?
Yeah, no need your camera Philippine anywhere like okay, they good, new quality, na cannot find when the type of boxes I expect on income and I can good. Do okay like na can me feel like no piano okay, I mean me can fancy can support yourself and like miss money I'm a boy because must start ni be early. When must start ni be early, me pa me find I'm a boy. Nika okwe titles ni anu ya no BBA, IBF, je shamo titles. When je shamo titles, enkwe na keniken title na ya. Ni gaya train yo pack you ma gym. Ni pack you legbe ni mi po can get le ma ile. Ni senior Jimmy Weather. Wake Mayweather book where Game Boy and Boko. But only Mayweather feel me expect I can feel more than that. No gonna think a push and you say. But me pan fancy if I am on camera, I make a way I can try me sorry. I can even Game Boy ever feeling what you mandate in your channel. One fancy coming watch me I'm one catch around one on start in small over one around 2 low around 1. Okay. Was a no boy around Manchaba. Alright.
So I mean what Game Boy is trying to say is that he's entreating all his fans to turn out at the Lebanon house to ensure into the Accra to ensure that he wins successfully, and make sure you get there early because he says he's going to end the bout very early. Don't come on the round 2, he's going to end it on round 1 on a knockout basis. Well, so it's Game Boy Mano Tego who will be in action here in Ghana in the international bout being held by Baby Jet Promotions.